Hi, this is Marcus Pulis, and this is Aquarian Anarchy. Before we get started, go ahead and hit like, and once you watch this video, please share, and that way people can see my content if you like it. Also, visit our store. The links will be down below, as will all of the links from today's show, so that you can research this stuff yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the news this week. I think the most important thing that I've seen this week is, and of course, coronavirus is going on throughout all of this, and both of these stories are related to coronavirus, but not directly, because really we don't know anything new, largely because the media is completely controlled, but anyway, we don't really know anything new compared to what we knew last week. But the state and the United States federal government and many state governments continue to show that they're authoritarian, and many of those things will come out in these two articles, particularly the first one, but also in the second one, showing Africa starting to say no to what's been happening to them for the last few years. But to get started with the first story this week, I've entitled Pentagon Wants No Accountability. To be clear, this comes from the Federation of American Scientists, Secrecy News. Their headline was, Pentagon asked to keep future spending secret. As anybody who follows government with an honest look, whether voluntarist or not, government doesn't like to be watched, and they don't like to have their secrets out in the open to the American people. They make the excuse that it's for, terrorists or whoever their current boogeyman is. But the reality is they don't want the American people to know what they're doing with the money they stole from them. So that should be the underlying understanding of this entire thing. And I also think that we should a couple weeks ago, I mentioned the Department of Justice seeking powers to basically indefinitely detain people and things like that. So this is all of the Trump administration coordinating to become more fascist and become more embedded into your daily lives on a permanent basis, not just in the time of this coronavirus emergency. If there really is an emergency, they're definitely taking advantage of it to grab onto power that will have lasting implications going forward. As I've said before, I think that this is an overreaction, and the American people will stand up and say something. And if they don't, then y'all are stupid, because it is time right now to say, no, I'm not putting up with this crap. As is happening across the country. Not only do I work for Adam Kokesh as his press secretary, but I also work for Donald Rainwater here in Indiana for governor in a similar capacity. And Don, who is not this is not as radical as Adam is on many things, though both of them are good libertarians, is saying, no, I'm done with this. This authoritarian power grab has to stop. And I think that you're seeing people of all walks of life, of all kinds of political persuasions, start to do that. And that's good for a voluntarist society, because people are starting to wake up to the fact that government is not there to protect you. It is there to hurt you. It is there to take power away from you, control you, steal from you. And as one of my favorite things that Thomas Paine says, they're establishing again the nobility, or what Thomas Paine called the no abilities. They have no abilities. They have no skill set except for in causing harm, pain, and control. So anyway, to get into the story, the Department of Defense, and specifically Secretary of Defense Mark Espers, is quietly asking Congress to rescind the requirement to produce an unclassified version of the Future Years Defense Program database. He's saying, we shouldn't put this out to everybody. Preparation of the unclassified FYDP, which provides estimates of defense spending for the next 5 years, has been required by law since 1989 and has become an integral part of the defense budget process. In other words, they have to put, since 1989, they have had to put before it, which is, let's be clear, is largely where this was a safeguard protecting us that was put into place so that we could, at least as Americans, could see that how much they are spending. We may not know that they redact an awful lot of it so that we don't know what they're spending a lot of it on, but at least we know the numbers. Well, they don't want to do that anymore. The Pentagon said that it should no longer have to offer such information in an unclassified format, according to the Department of Defense legislative proposal for the pending fiscal year 2021. Let's be clear, this isn't going to take effect now. Not going to take effect. They're using the coronavirus as an excuse to put it out, but it's actually not going to take effect until 2021, the fiscal year, which will start in October. So just to be clear, the department is concerned. This is a quote. The department is concerned that the attempting publication of unclassified FYDP data might inadvertently reveal sensitive information. Yeah, right. To the American people, to Congress, to those kinds of people. And to be clear, this was actually proposed March 6th in 2020. So this is even really before the coronavirus. They're just getting it all ramped up right now, just making it happen. Because they knew this bullshit was coming. They knew that the people in the Department of Defense knew that people were going to be scared, knew that the Congress was going to be stamping things, because this is all planned. If you think that this coronavirus thing, which I believe that the coronavirus is a real thing, there are people getting sick and people dying, but government doesn't care about trying to solve the problem, as has been seen by the fact that they have stepped in the way time and time and time again, confusing people about masks, confusing people about everything, not allowing tests to come out, those kinds of things. But they knew beforehand that this was coming, and they're prepared to take all of your understanding and ability to see what they're spending money on away. That they got handled. Actually handling the coronavirus, no, they don't deal with that. But certainly going to try to take some power away from you. With the ready availability of data mining tools and techniques, and the large volume of data on the department's operation and resources already available in the public domain, additional unclassified FYDP data, if it were released, potentially allows adversaries to derive sensitive information by compilation about the department's weapons development, source structure, and strategic plans. So this is their excuse. So, all right. If they're saying, well, they can figure a lot of this stuff out anyway. So if they can figure it out anyway, why not tell the American people? Give them one nice little place they can go and look for it. Here you go. This is where we spend it. Oh, but they might be able to put things together. Bullshit. That is all bullshit. That is all doublespeak. None of that is true. They just don't want. They want to be able to spend the money on. Number one, they don't want you to know how much they're spending. They don't want you to have any idea how much you are being ass raped for nothing. For projects that have been called out on the carpet too many times in their minds for spending money on things that we don't use. They're just wasting money left and right, willy-nilly, like government does. The government is not efficient at spending your money, and the Department of Defense is probably the number one place where they screw us over the most. So they don't want to tell you how much they're screwing you over. Therefore, the DoD said, quote, this proposal would remove the statutory requirement to submit an unclassified future year's defense program to Congress, the Congressional Budget Office. Let me back this back up. To the Congress, to the Congressional Budget Office, to the Comptroller General of the United States, and the Congressional Research Service. So not only are they trying to hide this from you, they're trying to hide this. They're wanting an entire black budget. They don't want Congress to know. They don't want the budget office to know. They don't want the people that are in charge of keeping control of the money, the comptroller, to know where they're spending their money, how they're spending their money. They want to be able to put it in a black budget and put it away so you don't have any idea. And have they been doing black budgeting forever? Absolutely. This just takes the step of pretending away and makes it codified right in front of you. And there will be people who say, oh, it's only been in existence since 1989. What were we doing before 1999? 89. What were we doing? We were more apt to hold our government responsible. Our government was not locking people in their homes in 1989. Our government didn't have a Patriot Act that spied on you in 1989. This is more needed today than it has ever been in the history of this country. It is needed now. We need them to be held accountable. We need to know where they're spending our money. I don't think they should be stealing it. But by God, if you're going to take my money, I want to know where it went. Or at least that it went on a weapon. Or it went on this or that or the other thing. Because otherwise they could just stick it in their pocket, which is exactly what they do. So that's where that's at. The DoD proposal would preserve a classified FYDP for Congress. In other words, they would get the full thing, but it would repeal the requirements that the DoD officials certify that the data used to construct it is accurate. Right now, they have to certify that when they present something to Congress, this is exactly where this money goes. Now they wouldn't have to. They could just, I don't know, what's the word? Lie! Like they do. Always. This is yet again, remember, they are deploying soldiers in New York City right now. Right now. And they don't want us to be able to, in any way, hold them accountable monetarily. They already do whatever the hell they want. And this is just, but now you can't even watch us do whatever the hell we want. This requirement is, quote, this requirement is unnecessary as information from these systems is already used to provide the president's budget. Oh, that's great. That's great. Congress, the people that are supposed to represent the people, they don't need it, but the president, our dictator-in-chief, he certainly needs it. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it, and those who do learn from history, like me, have to sit in horror as it repeats itself because people are stupid and giving more power to a centralized authority. For all of these people that say Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler, they're throwing more power at him. And you're okay with that. This is not left versus right, people. Stop playing in your teams. Stop throwing on your blue and red flags. Understand that they do not care about either team and that both teams are working together to screw you and hand power over to psychopaths. So, the unclassified FYDP helps inform budget analysis. Really? At a time when it is clear to everyone that the U.S. national security spending is poorly aligned with actual threats to the nation, the DoD proposal would make it even harder for Congress and the public to refocus and reconstruct the defense budget. In other words, confuse the hell out of Congress and the public so that they don't have any goddamn idea where any of your money is going. so that they can do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want. I am so goddamn sick of having to preach this. You know, wake up. You know, stop being divided and conquered and go and throw yourself. Congress is not going to stand up for you because they're going to rubber stamp this shit. And then when somebody like Thomas Massey stands up and says, I don't agree with this, you're going to tell him that he's an uncaring asshole because he's trying to watch your goddamn money. So it's going to, anyway, without an unclassified FYDP, Congress and the public would be deprived of unclassified analysis, like the, quote, long-term implications of the 2020 Future Years Defense Program produced last year by the Congressional Budget Office, other public reporting by GAO, CRS, and the news media and independent analysis, because the news media now, they get some good info. No, they don't get a goddamn thing. They get handed exactly what to say, which a friend of mine, Michael, is going to come over and we're going to film my media soon. So be looking for a special edition of Aquarian Anarchy where he interviews me as someone who deals with the media constantly about how they censor and put nothing out but propaganda. So that's coming soon, hopefully tonight. Concerning the FYDP and future defense spending would also be undermined. In other words, what little bit of fucking information that people like, people that want to look at it and analyze it themselves, and the news media and all of these different groups, including fucking Congress, would no longer be able to follow their spending and find out anything. Some information in the FYDP, such as projected intelligence spending, has always been deemed sensitive enough that it had to be classified. You know, I disagree with that, but I understand that the intelligence spending, if they know that they're putting the money into, you know, ass raping Libya or whatever, people might get mad. So they've kept that away. Again, this is not saying that right now our situation's good. This is not saying that. They're already lying to us. This is a perfect example of how they're lying to us when they shouldn't be. But this is about making it even worse. You know, people want to have an all or nothing kind of look at things. I want it all repealed, okay? I want all of this spending. I'm an anarchist. I want the government to go away. So of course, I'm not going to agree with any of this. But making it worse is not the fucking solution. All right? We're already being lied to and things are being hidden from us, as can be seen by WikiLeaks, which they attack, by Snowden, which they attack, by Chelsea Manning, which they attack, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But most information in the FYDP is unclassified and is properly the subject of public oversight. In a sane world, in a world where limited government actually works, which is an imaginary land, because governments always grow. This has never been the case. It never not been the case. It has always grown. Period. So, for example, the recent blah 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 for the military construction includes a FYDP project list identifying numerous proposed construction projects across the country and around the world that are anticipated through 2025. So it gave some kind of indication of what was coming. The DoD no longer publishes its legislative proposals. Until 2 years ago, the DoD published its legislative proposals to Congress on the website of the DoD General Counsel. The proposals for fiscal year 2019 are still online, but that is no longer the case. As part of a broader retreat from public oversight and accountability, to be clear, that means this started 2 years ago. Okay, they started pulling this shit back then. And don't give me, Obama was better. He set all this shit up and started making things secret. And this idea that any of the Democrats are not on board with this is bullshit. If the Hildebeest, Hillary Clinton, was in office right now, we'd be dealing with the exact same things. If Bernie Sanders won the election, we would be in the same thing. If Joe Biden wasn't stopped stiffing kids long enough to do something in the presidency, we would have the exact problem that we're having right now. This is not about Trump. This is about government itself. And government itself is attacking you. And it is saying that we're going to attack you and we're not going to tell you how we spent your money. We're going to steal and then take your money and do whatever the fuck we want with it. Fuck you. That's what this is. A copy of the current package of the DoD legislative process through March 6, 2020 was obtained by Secrecy News, a complete tabulation of the dozens of specific proposals they have listed if you want to follow the link. A section-by-section description is also presented. Among the current batch is a proposed exemption from the Freedom of Information Act for certain unclassified documents. In other words, they, several years ago, passed the Freedom of Information Act and then wrote themselves in exemptions, which is what they're doing. So this is, again, and this is concerning military tactics, techniques, and procedures. Okay, they tell you that with the idea, oh, we wouldn't want our enemy to know our tactics. Like there's anything fucking new under the sun. Like they're not doing the same goddamn things they've done 1,000 times. Like our enemies, which I would say that war is murder and they're just fucking expanding empire. But our enemies already know what the fuck we do. I think Putin sits over there and laughs at how fucking stupid the American people are because we like to pretend that Putin has this total totalitarian fucking regime and that we're any goddamn different. The kind of powers that we get mad at Putin having, this is the kind of shit that we just handed to our goddamn government and continue to in this age of coronavirus. If you think your Constitution is still intact, think again. It is time for a new guard. It is time to declare your independence. Go reread the Declaration of Independence and see how much of that shit's right in front of you. How we have what they said they were rebelling against. The revolution was started for far less shit than we are dealing with in this goddamn current government. Fuck the United States. Fuck this government. I love my home. I love my people. I love the people around me. But this government is shit and continues to become more and more shit. The land of the free is gone. Get used to it. It is gone. This is not we are no longer, for those of you that think you want a small government, that's gone. It's gone. It's been gone for a long time, but it is really apparent right now. The very same proposal, the FOIA exemptions, has previously been rejected by Congress on at least 4 prior occasions. So legislative approval of such requests is not necessarily a foregone conclusion. The difference is, back then, they didn't have a pandemic that we can't be getting attacked while we have this pandemic. Oh, and it's not going to come into effect until 2021. Late last week, the House Armed Services Committee filed a preliminary version of the FY21 Defense Authorization Act based on the DoD legislative proposals. They'll sneak it in there, they'll get it passed, and Lindsey Graham will roll out and say, no, you don't get a no. No, you're a terrorist. Yeah, that's going to happen because it's happened before. It happened when they passed the Defense Authorization Act a few years ago, and Lindsey got out and, told us that we needed indefinite detention. We got to be able to throw Americans into concentration camps for nothing, forever, without a charge. Shut up, he said. So it's coming again. They're going to tell you to shut up. Lindsey Graham's going to walk out and yay, I get to enslave more Americans. Anyway, Quote, when the committee meets to consider the fiscal year 21 NDAA, the content of H.R. 6395 will be struck and replaced with subcommittee and full committee of proposals. Anyhow, so that's coming. They don't want you to know where they're spending your damn money. And we already don't know a lot. This just further takes from the American people any kind of transparency. They already spend more than anybody else. One thing I agree with Rand about is they need audited. At least. At least let Congress open the books for a minute and go, oh, you're spending money on stupid shit. Because that's what they're going to find. But that's why they don't want it. It's because Congress has had their cocks or vaginas stricken off, and they have no fucking power. Like was intended by the Constitution. The Constitution vested the most amount of power in Congress. Now people say, oh, it's a balance of power. Bullshit. That's not how it was supposed to be. Congress was supposed to be the power. That's it. And it's not that way anymore. Now the courts and the executive branch have far more power because the Congress has continued to just pump out their power because they want to fucking get paid and do nothing. As was shown last week. They want to do nothing. They were shitty because they had to show up and take a vote. So now they don't even want to do that. So, anyway, moving along. The next story, and it's showing how the world is sick of our bullshit. And, not only are Americans starting to get sick of their bullshit, but now Africa's sick of their bullshit. And my headline is, Africa does not want to be guinea pigs again. This is from a Kenyan news site called Tuko. And the title is Resist. Senator, and I'm going to butcher his name, Wetangula, calls on African leaders to reject COVID-19 vaccine tests on the continent. The Bugoma Senator, Moses Wetangula, has condemned a proposal by a section of European nations and scientists that the COVID-19 vaccine test should be done in Africa. Because that's what they always do. Bill Gates does that shit all the time. Let's go test it on Africans. Why the fuck do you think they want to test it on Africans? Because you're not a goddamn African. Because when they grow a third arm out of their forehead, you don't want it to be your goddamn kids, and you don't want the media to be filming and watch a third-armed kid run across the goddamn film. And you know that they're not going to do that over in Africa because they are still trying to enslave that continent. So anyway, this dude says, fuck that. His objection came barely a day after the French doctors suggested that Africa was the best continent for samples to be used because it's incapable of fighting COVID-19. It seems like Italy's got some problems fighting COVID-19. How about Italy? This is all bullshit. In a strongly worded statement, the Ford Kenya Party leader called on African leaders to reject any attempt to use African people as guinea pigs. Because they're not even talking about, there's no fucking way. This thing has not existed for that long. There is no way they have a tested vaccine right now. They are guinea pigs. They're going to, let's see what happens. The thought that we could do this to other human beings is beyond me. They continue the racist fucking policies that they have been doing from the beginning for centuries now. This is racism, and I'm not one to throw up the racist card. I'm not one to do it very fucking often. But why the fuck else could they possibly be going after Africa? In reality. Them black folks just ain't as good as we are, is exactly what they're fucking saying. This shit drives me insane. Quote, the epicenter of COVID-19 is China, Italy, Spain, France, and U.S. clinical trials on its possible cure must start there and not in any African country. African leaders must resist any attempt to use our people as guinea pigs. Resist, he tweeted. Amen, brother. Keep that coming. And I get this guy's probably some kind of ass clown because he's in government. I get that. But on this particular thing, I agree 100%. Resist. And resist is a very good word right now because we need to be resisting a lot of this shit. My governor just told last week, these people are good to go to work. These people are not good to go to work. Like it fucking matters. Like he has any goddamn idea what the real world looks like, because he doesn't. He's got his fucking silver spoon stuck in his goddamn mouth just like all the rest of these pieces of shit. The proposal has irked many people on the continent, with majority of Kenyans trooping to social media sites to slam European. Good! Fucking get out in the goddamn streets and protest this shit with a mask and some gloves. Get out there. Tell them no. It is time to say no to this shit. We're done. We will be recognized as human beings, and we're done. So, European nations and scientists for attempting to use Africans as, quote, lab rats. Exactly. Globally, there are over 1 million COVID-19 infections and a total of 59,172 deaths recorded so far. So they want to spread this shit all the way through Africa because they're just going to test it. What if it gives it to them? Let's make the problem worse. That's what government does. Out of these numbers, the United States has the highest number of infections, currently standing at 277,467. The third largest number of deaths at 7,402. So why aren't they calling for the U.S. to get the fucking shit? Because that's because they're racist pieces of shit that don't want it in their backyard, and they are going to force Africans to fucking do it. Again. This is not the first rodeo these people have been through. Italy has the highest number of deaths, standing at 14,681, and the second highest number of infections, currently at 119,827. Spain has 119,199 infections and a total of 11,198 fatalities, being the second highest number of deaths after Italy. Germany has 91,159 COVID-19 infections. 91,159 COVID infections and the 1,275 deaths, while China, where the disease began, has 81,639 infections and 3,326 fatalities. But of course, China's not going to China's like, fuck you, we released it, but I'll tell you what. We ain't taking some vaccine guinea pig in our people. It is a fucking amazing situation when the Chinese government cares more about their people than what they're... Because these fucking murderous bastards didn't give a fuck about their people. And they're shooting people. It's like, one of the funniest things I've seen yet is fucking North Korea. They don't have shit. They don't got nothing going on. And there's a meme that shows like North Korean COVID infections 2 o'clock. 1. COVID infection 201. 0. And then we don't got that problem no more. So anyway, awesome bullshit. Africa has so far 212 deaths, and most countries recording less than 1,000 infections. Apart from what South Africa has cases of 1,505. The reason is because this is all bullshit. And they are just spreading this shit through Africa, and they want them to be guinea pigs, and what they're wanting to do is fucking infect the shit out of these people and cause more trouble. That's what they do. This is all about fucking population control. This just... But on to my commentary. What is all this together? We are, the Kokesh campaign has started a new hashtag. Hashtag We Are Not Afraid. This whole idea is to come out and say, I understand that there is an infectious disease out there. There are many. Look at the numbers of tuberculosis if you really want to compare. But there is a disease, and there is precautions that can be taken. You can put a mask on. You can try to stay home as much as you possibly can. You can try to do all that. But forcing people to destroy their business is not the way to move forward. My solution is to stop being bullied. Stop being, I don't really change my actions. Sure, when I go out, I have a mask ready. Sure, I'm not trying to touch everything. Sure, I'm not, I use hand sanitizer. I do the stuff that you're supposed to do. Great. But I'm still going out. I'm still living my life. I'm planting my garden. I am doing the stuff that I need to do to live my life. And what is going to be the outcome of all of this crap is more damage by government than by the COVID-19 virus. Mark my words. That's on its way. So, I mentioned earlier the Declaration of Independence. We need this. This is my quote. Quote. And this is just pieces, but quote. This is Thomas Jefferson. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Skipping ahead. "But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for future security. The time of the state has ended. We are capable of taking care of ourselves. The argument could be made that at one point in our evolution as a species, socially, we needed some form of government. That time has passed. With the advent of technology, we should be able to localize any government that is needed to our local communities where it can be voluntary. And if you do not want to participate, you can move your happy ass out of that community, or you can not participate in what it offers as assistance. It is time to move to a voluntary society. I am so sick and tired of all of this crap. I am just sick of government standing in the way of people, standing in the way of development, standing in the way of a cure. I am tired of them doing everything in the darkness. I'm tired of them being secretive and holding what is ours. This is our money. This is our capital. This is ours, not theirs. You don't get to decide where my fucking money goes. It's my money. You don't get to decide that. You do not get to take an entire continent and let's just try it. See if it works. Because that ever has worked out. Look at what they did to the black population in this country with syphilis. Look it up. These people cannot be trusted. Government needs to end. What we call government right now is long past its expiration date. It is time to stand up. It is time to demand our natural rights and demand that we be in charge of our lives. Declare your own independence. Stand with me. Stand with freedom-loving people all over the world and say, I'm done. You have gone too far. We are not afraid. Stay free.